To be totally honest with you, ladies and gentlemen, it's easy to do an episode on other countries than your own. I may talk about Nigeria, South Africa, and other African countries every now and then. But when I turn back and look at what's going on in my own home country, I just sigh in great despair. You are welcome back to my channel, ladies and gentlemen. It's such a pleasure to come your way again. Please do well to subscribe and leave a comment to support me. In today's episode, I want to talk about my home country, Ghana, and I want to speak on the reasons why Ghana isn't developing. It is expanding, but not developing. It's definitely different from how it was some 20 years ago, but it's not getting better in terms of quality. I know many Ghanaians will totally disagree with me on this, but this is why I first of all need you to come hear this. So please come with me. Let's go. You see, 20 years ago, Ghana was not that big. It was just about some few suburbs in the capital city, Accra, and a few other places in the other regions. The wealth and development were mainly in specific places. At the time, Ghana had 10 regions until it became 16 regions in 2018. And in order for you to understand my claim, you have to know how old Ghana has been since independence. We are 66 years old since we have our own destiny in our own hands. Today, many of our towns have expanded and seen a lot of facelift and may look like development to many, but I beg to differ. So then what do I mean by Ghana isn't developing? Well, development is a continuous process, which any person, anybody who has the slightest idea about nation building won't argue. This process cannot be overlooked. It cannot be truncated or rushed. It has a starting point and it gets to a plateau of sustainability. When you come to Ghana, which I encourage you to do because of the peace and the beautiful women we have here, you will be confronted with three major challenges facing our country if you look closely enough. The first thing you will see, which is the least on my reasons why Ghana isn't developing, is the lack of meaningful system for any type of local business to thrive. This challenge is so glaring and depressing, yet that is not the number one topic being spoken about on TV or on radios. There is no structure for new businesses or to support indigenous businesses. There is no laid out structure for the educational system. There is no roadmap for people who want to go into farming or mining. It is basically this. There is no developmental plan for the nation, and certainly there is none for the regions. I know you want details, and I'm going to give you just that. Our type of capitalist system isn't like the American type where the government takes seriously the responsibility of laying down the system for the nation's businesses to plug into. Let me help you catch what I'm trying to say here. Take, for instance, a local farmer in Ghana. He needs to find his own piece of land and use his own resources to farm. He has to create his own road access to the main highways. And when the produce are ready, he needs to find his own means of transportation to the big market. At the marketplace, he has to quote his own prices. And if goods aren't sold on that day, if it's not sold out, the preservation is his responsibility. He either takes it back home and eats it, or it rots like the thousands of tons of plantain, tomatoes, onion, yam, and other staples that every year go rotten during the same period. Same thing is happening in the educational system. No plan. It was a 3-year secondary school system, and then the new government changed it to 4 years, and then the next government moved it back to 3 years. It was a 3-term a year, and then the government changed it to 2 terms, and now it's taking it back to 3 terms, which has created so much mess in the educational system. And I know if there should be a new government next year, the current setup as it is in the educational system will be thrown away. When your business collapses, you won't have any government organization or institution inquiring of what happened, irrespective of the numbers you used to employ and how it can be resurrected. You only receive text messages on the taxes you should pay. Instead, foreigners thrive here a lot when they come with money. And I'm totally okay with that. As a matter of fact, I encourage more foreign businesses to come to Ghana. I encourage more foreign businesses to come here because just like any businessman, it is about the profit they are looking for. But the real challenge is this. Our system is more suitable to cater for foreign organizations than for the small local businesses. In order for a country to see a real form of development, there has to be a system deliberately created by government or in partnership with private businesses to have businesses plug into. And I learned this in China a long time ago. And I'm not advocating for a communist government. No, I love our democracy. But there are certain aspects of the Chinese government system I find quite pivotal in their nation's development. Their government either has its own transport mechanism to move produce from vantage points to the main market, or it has partners to do so. They have convenient payment platforms locally designed to cater for all manner of payment for goods and services by way of providing guarantees against fraud and theft in business, so that once you set up your business, the means to receive payment are already provided and you just have to plug in your business details into it. And I can give you many of such platforms that actually aid in development of a nation. When you see roads being constructed in Ghana, you can be sure it will develop potholes in less than 1 year, because there's no real qualitative standard to measure it. There is no government construction company that sets the standards and follows up on quality checks. It is left in the hands of engineers who seldom visit sites, because most times the contracts are given to politicians from the top who cannot be supervised by these local engineers. The two main backbones of Ghana's economy, gold and cocoa, are experiencing same unstructured challenges. Farmers are cutting down cocoa trees for all manner of reasons, and government doesn't look concerned. I mean, this is the one commodity that has sustained your economy for years, yet your commitment to its growth is similar to nothing. Interesting. There is no financial or logistics support for a gold mining company in Ghana, and because of that, they equally don't see the obligation to engage government when it comes to selling their gold. This is how loose our small-scale mining industry is. We are ranked on top of the list of countries struggling with illegal mining activities in Africa, destroying our forests, rivers, and anything that comes in its way. The large-scale mining companies are dominated by foreign entities, leaving Ghana with a shameful percentages in equity. The key pillars of our economy are in the hands of private businessmen. I mean, private foreign business owners. As a matter of fact, Ghana's economy is the type that a foreign entity can walk in today with money and control an aspect of our economy within a year. What is this? When the dollar sneezes, we all catch cold, because more than 70% of every commodity you find in the marketplace is imported. This isn't development. This is merely expansion. It's not planned. It doesn't have starting point. It has no plan for continuity and no form of qualitative sustainability. For those of my subscribers who claim I don't speak about the challenges in my own country, you just don't know where my heart is when it comes to Ghana. And very soon, you'll be watching some of my episodes of my debates with top people in government and other parts of Africa. And I pray when that time comes, God will give me the life and the courage to do it. The second reason why I'm arguing that Ghana isn't developing is because the government of Ghana doesn't work. And I repeat that. The government of Ghana does not work. The government has been reduced to managers. And even that job, they are not doing a good one. And I hope to debate key people within the government next year on this subject. If the government really wants to lead in anything in the country, what it must do is to get involved. Attempting to manage while looking from outside in doesn't work. You don't own any farmland. You don't own any farms. You don't own any manufacturing plants. You have no strategic partnerships with key aspects of the economy that has to do with the survival of the everyday lives of the people. You have no mining companies, no construction companies, no fishing companies, nothing, nada. You have nothing. You don't help with seeds. You don't provide irrigations. You don't have farm roads. No transportation available to farmers. You are in Accra waiting for people to bring their produce so that you can tax them. How does that work for you? You don't compete with nobody for nothing. You have no idea how people manage to get resources to import goods into Ghana. You wait at the harbor and adjust taxes and import charges as and when it's relevant to your contracted loans. I lost a whole container of goods I imported because I couldn't pay for the new import charges. Ghana government isn't busy, and when they choose to be busy, it's never about the people. It's because they are busy looking for new places to borrow from. You don't create anything that generates income. Your bread and butter are taxes and loans. How can this be? You have no city recreational centers, no parks. You have removed the tolls. You have only minority shareholdings in the intercity transport system. And because of that, when private transport owners who control almost everything strike, the whole nation comes to a standstill. The government is not leading in anything that can bring about real sustainable development in the country. Your ministries and departments have become like rubber stamps at this point. They are not generating revenue. They are only collecting revenue. And ladies and gentlemen, there is a big difference between these two. If I go deeper into this, I might end up going overboard. So I'll just have to leave it here. But the main reason why Ghana isn't developing, which is my number one reason Ghana is expanding but not developing, is because we do not have leadership in this country. Leadership is Ghana's biggest problem. But I also realized after traveling to other African countries that leadership problem isn't just Ghana problem, but the whole of Africa's problem. Our governments lack the ability to properly diagnose the challenges we have on the continent. And then they will misapply solutions which will worsen our plight. This is the problem we have. The first question anyone who wants to be president of Ghana or any African country for that matter should be asked is, how are you going to generate revenue? How are you going to make money to do all the things you claim you want to do outside of taxes and loans? How will you raise that money? And we should ask this question and get to the dot of it. Look at these figures. Ghana's public debt is 567.3 billion Ghana cedis, which is equivalent to $47 billion as of September 2023. This figure represents 66.4% of our GDP. So technically, if this figure is true, as reported in the news, that leaves Ghana with a paltry 33.6% of its annual revenue to pay workers and for development. Now, you juxtapose that amount with the kind of challenges we have as a nation, you will come to the conclusion that revenue creation outside of taxes and loans should be the biggest question anybody will have to answer, whoever wants to be a leader in Ghana or any part of Africa. Any well-meaning journalist should make this their number one, number two, number three, number four, number five, to the number 10th question to ask and to get a real answer for before we move on to the next question. And this leadership problem, ladies and gentlemen, doesn't look like it's going to end anytime soon, because the people will continually elect the same type of people to come and lead the country, and the same things will happen and the same situations will recur. This is the problem with Africa, and this is the biggest problem in Ghana. We are always electing the same type of people to lead a country which has a peculiar problem, and these people we elect have no plans of solving those types of problems. Until we have a leader who can address the problem of how to generate income, we are not going anywhere. Income outside of loans, we are not going anywhere. Because if you take away loans from Ghana's economy, the economy is going to crash. In less than 1 year, the economy will sink. You cannot live life like this. You cannot be talking about development when every money you use is a borrowed money, when you are depending on somebody else's pocket in order to make moves. This is not development. This is a mere expansion. And this is not a quality expansion. It is a mirage, because everything you are standing on is not yours. It is borrowed. If the borrowing stops, your economy drops. How do you claim to be developing on this trajectory? I don't understand you. But all the same, this is where we are born. We have to do all that we can to brighten the corner that we find ourselves. And that is what I encourage you to also do in any part of Africa that you are located. Thank you so much for taking time to watch my today's episode. I'll come your way again, but until then, God bless you, and it's bye-bye for now.